Good evening, one and all. Welcome along. It's season 5, episode number 61 of the UK Dallas Cowboys podcast. And Mike has been unexpectedly struck down. So tonight it's Jamie as my wingman. Jamie, how are things?
Well, I tried coming up with a good excuse to not have to go earlier, but I do the short straw. Cheers, Mike.
Yeah, and I mean, look, I'm only saving you from further embarrassment being at Ellen Road, you know?
I'm not even going to entertain you with that because you support a team that's even worse, to be fair.
But how are things anyway, Jamie? We're less than 10 days out. We're into single figures from the draft. I mean, this has just snuck up on us.
Oh, it's crazy, isn't it? Feels like only 2 minutes ago the Cowboys were getting absolutely beaten to a pulp by the Packers in the playoffs. We're all doing it. Now it's like I said to you when I was on with you guys last week, one of my favourite times on the calendar, on the NFL calendar. I actually enjoy it more than the Super Bowl. So it's just brushing up on some of the prospects, doing tons of mock drafts in dinner breaks, and let's get down to this and let's find out who's going to be the Cowboys fan.
Yeah, and I'm laughing at the one you sent me earlier today.
That was a good mock.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's like you really went captain trade down on that. Like you traded down to 32, you traded down to 64. Like you picked up a lot of players, and without telling everyone who you picked, you filled nearly every position of need during the draft, which is exactly what we need.
To be fair, that took about 50 mocks to get it like that, though.
It's always the way, but look, there's nothing we can do about that. But look, as always, folks, we do like to see your comments, and as always, before the show even started, Joe was in with the usual comment. What's up, UK Cowboys? I'm sharing your video and pushing the like button. And Joe, as always, you know how much we appreciate you. And we must try and grab hold of you at some point over the next week if we can. So watch out for a Facebook message from some of us in the admin group. So maybe check your message requests or something like that. But Jamie, what we decided to talk about tonight is maybe a bit more guys we haven't spoken about. And look, you and I, before we got on the show, we went back and forth on this, and we're kind of going, what is your nightmare scenario at 24?
It's the Cowboys trading out the first round, so we stayed up for no reason.
If they trade out of the first round, I'm going to be stunned. I'm
going to fly over to Dublin and straight do you in.
Yeah, that's going to be a pen throw for me if they trade down. But we've kind of spent a good bit of time talking about taking offensive tackle, taking wide receiver at 24. But I mean, is there a nightmare scenario for you if none of the wide receivers are there, if none of the offensive tackles are there, and you're kind of left that you're looking at maybe defensive end, corner, or something like that?
No, just because of what needs this team needs. I mean, edge, there's likely going to be, depending on who you listen to and the mocks you pull out there, there's going to be somebody there. In terms of DT is a need, but I think it just depends on who. If who's going to be there, is a Newton going to be there? Potentially. Now, be too opposed at that 24, but if you're talking about a reach and you're looking at, I know we're UT boys, but that's a stretch at 24. two potentially free centre prospects that are highly rated.
Yeah.
So I think reaching for DT would be the nightmare scenario.
Yeah. Joe has kind of said, look, if there's no offensive lineman available, I'd pick a linebacker or a defensive tackle. I mean, I think we're all kind of on record saying there isn't a first round linebacker this year. That's not to say someone won't draft a linebacker, but there doesn't seem to be, say, a Micah Parsons, Jack Campbell from last year. You know, those kinds of guys don't seem to be in this draft class that you draft a linebacker.
Yeah, but again, it depends on who you listen to. Especially the Cowboys official draft show last week. They did if nobody's watched it, they did a mock draft, and they spoke about, depending on who was there, maybe taking Cooper at 31, just for the fact that, like I said, you're dead at the mercy of the board in the second round, everybody else, to get it. Luckily for how the Cowboys might have got it in the second round anyway, but it would be someone they would potentially look at just for the fact that then drop off potentially from second, third round depth of linebackers. I say, as much as it's annoying being in this position, it's also in some way it's the unknown. Like somebody could drop. Somebody's likely to drop because it happens every year in the draft. But it's playing the waiting game because the Cowboys. I'd be very surprised if the Cowboys traded up.
Yeah. And I mean, look, let's bring in everyone on what we were discussing in the 5 to 10 minutes before we went on air. You have said this is not going to happen. And look, I generally tend to agree with you that this won't happen. But look, it's a position we haven't discussed in any depth during the course of our draft coverage. And I said to you, what if Brock Bowers drops to 24? Would you pull the trigger on that?
Theoretically, yeah. But then it goes back to the whole situation of when I took a specific tight end.
Yeah.
I think that, oh God, I don't even know if the Cowboys would pull the trigger. I know that sounds really stupid. But like I said, I don't think he's going to fall out of the top 12. There's not a chance. I think if he goes past the Jets, I was thinking the Jets back on at 10. Am I wrong?
No, I think Chicago are at 10. Jets might be
11. So 11. If he falls past the Jets at 11, then I think there's going to be a massive scramble. There's always talk of everybody trying to jump up and get JJ McCarthy. Likely, it could well be the Vikings. I think you'll see a massive scramble if he goes past the Jets. Even if he falls past 8 or 9, you might see someone go. I honestly don't think. I'd be very surprised if he goes outside the top 10. I'd be flabbergasted if he went out of the top 12. I say that I don't think. Definitely don't think he drops to 24. But if he does, I think the Cowboys could probably get a huge package for someone.
Yeah, and I mean, like, kind of to give people a kind of an idea about who Brock Bowers is, what kind of a player you're talking about. I mean, Brock Bowers has been a 3-season starter with the Georgia Bulldogs. For me, he's a pass-catching tight end. He's not an inline blocker. So he's going to be more your George Kittle, your Sam Laporta, that's going to get out into the open, who's going to catch balls. And once he catches balls, that's him done. He's dominant after the catch. His skills and contested catch skills are brilliant. He has the athleticism to get away, and he can beat zone coverage. So for me, and like looking at his accomplishments, he's won everything. He's a 2-time winner of the John Mackey Award, which is for the best tight end in college football. I mean, the pedigree is there. Everything is there for this guy. If he was there at 24, I don't care who else you have on your roster who's a tight end. You don't pass him up. And I mean, it foreshadows the 2020 draft where, we had Amari Cooper in the building with Michael Gallup in the building. We still took CD Lamb.
True. But like I said, as we were talking off air, I think it depends on who's there. I think the Cowboys will probably more than likely go wide receiver, tight end in the first round, especially playing devil's advocate if someone like a Brian Thomas was there.
Yeah.
Which is very, maybe not, but then you say, you look at Xavier Worthy, someone that can, I'm not saying Brock Bowers can do it, but that the Cowboys haven't got a true number two. So I think that would probably be more of a need for him over a tight end too. And not saying that Brock Bowers would end up being a tight end one, but we saw the progression that we needed off Ferguson. I'm a massive Ferguson fan of Flores and some of the guys in the group. So I would think the Cowboys would pull the trigger more at 24 on a receiver than and even maybe in the second round. I don't know if it's the second round. I know we're talking about further. I think you're more likely to see. To be fair, the Cowboys I would have had to make a double dip on the defensive line. Or even a tight end.
Like, again, Joe, as always, we love the comments coming in from Joe. He's always on point. He says, I wouldn't do it. We don't need another tight end. The reason I'm kind of bringing up Brock Bowers' name is Brock Bowers is someone the Cowboys have spoken to. They spoke to him as an official interview at the Combine. And when I think back, as I say, when I draw the parallel to 2020, the Cowboys never thought they were going to get near CD Lamb. I think they said he was the 7th player on their board. So they never expected to get near him. They didn't do any due diligence or didn't interview him, didn't do anything. But the Dallas Cowboys have a history of, as we say, East-West Shrine Bowl game, Senior Bowl game, Combine interviews, Pro Day visits, 30 visits. Brock Bowers has taken a lot of those boxes. And that's why I don't think it's likely, but I don't want to be unprepared for it.
Yeah, true. I think what's a good judge of what the Cowboys are visits. I think who was the last guy? Was Tyler Smith? Tyler Smith wasn't a third.
Tyler was a Dallas Day guy.
Yeah. So if you're looking outside that, then so Dallas Day guy. So I think Claiborne was the last. I could be wrong, but was the last non-30 visit the Cowboys drafted. So I always judge it on that. That's a very good judge. I think a good potentially looking at. One of them guys. I think just how they got them ranked on their board, which would be nice to be in that a fly on the wall in that night or that weekend even.
Yeah. Look, we can always dare to dream that one day we'll be in that war room.
Yeah. You can all wish.
Yeah. So DJ Dog is just has joined us, and he's saying Kingsley, the big OT from BYU, is now getting a lot of attention as our first round pick. Again,
he was the guy that the Cowboys media took in their mock draft last week. Like I say, he's getting a lot of attention. Less injury worries than a lot of the offensive linemen.
Yeah.
I suppose the only other problem with that is if someone's stock's rising, then someone else is going to take note, and someone is stealing before it even falls to 24.
Yeah.
Which is,
but I mean,
again, it may adds to the drama, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And I mean, as we say, we're into single digits now. It's 9 days to go. And this is when you start getting these breadcrumbs of information. You know, Kingsley, I think it's Kingsley Suamatu is his name. He's climbing up the boards. Another couple of guys that we said we'd talk about tonight, Kieran Amgaji, the offensive tackle out of Yale. He's rapidly rising up boards. Giovanni Manu, the guy from British Columbia, from the CFL, he's flying up boards based off what he's done in pro days, you know. And this is what happens is guys just appear out of nowhere. You're like, who's this guy? Like, I think it was pretty much this time 2 years ago. None of us knew who Deron Bland was. And in the last 10 days before the draft started, Deron Bland started popping up everywhere in relation to the Cowboys. And this will happen with every team, obviously. There'll be certain players will be linked. And that's kind of what you're going to see is those guys just appearing. And, you know, that's going to push good guys down. That's why I said, maybe what if with Brock Bowers, maybe he does get down to 24. It's however unlikely it is, and I do agree with you, he's likely gone in the top 12. It's just maybe to point out that, you know, it might happen, and he has a little bit of history there with the Cowboys in terms of, you know, interactions at various points.
What Cowboys completely just throw that guard and trade up together? That would just be something else, wouldn't
it? Well, look, if they're all in, maybe they're going to trade up. Who knows? Maybe
all in my backside.
maybe they might even trade up and take a quarterback.
Let's say that's a draft weekend.
Absolutely. But Jamie, you kind of spoke about someone there a minute ago when we were talking about Brock Bowers. In terms of Xavier Worthy. And Xavier Worthy is a guy we haven't given an awful lot of coverage to because we don't tend to think he's going to get drafted in the top 25. That he's maybe going to be, you know, a lot of talk is that he's going to end up with the Chiefs, and the Chiefs are going to turn him into their next Tyreek Hill.
It could well be. It's pre-know. I say we know a lot about him.
Yeah,
being stretch the field. His stats have been brilliant for Texas. I mean, he's a good red zone. Like I say, he can stretch the field. And so when you look at the stats, sometimes they don't massive jump off the board. And I think that's just because how Texas play. Like I say, the Texas have been blessed with some good wideouts and some good tight ends. I like to spread the ball around. I've had a decent run game for the last few years.
Yeah.
And just look what he did. Look what he did at the combine. He absolutely smashed the record for the 40.
Yeah.
I think that alone surprised me if somebody jumps higher and takes him. I think I always kind of laugh because sometimes people say it's a reach. That's a reach. This guy's a reach. That's just media talking. Somebody will have him. Somebody will have him on his board. Way up. It wouldn't surprise me if a couple of teams have got him. It's just how sometimes the media throw this thing up going to it, and it goes higher than 20. Wouldn't surprise me. Do I see it? Maybe not. I think it all depends.
Yeah.
Obviously, at LSU.
Yeah.
I think he goes higher than 120. I think you could see where the going up the board a bit higher. I definitely think it's potential to be a number one wideout for a team.
Yeah.
It just sucks being a Cowboys fan and also being a fan of a college team as well, because you obviously watch these players week in, week out, and then they go to somebody in the NFL and it's like, oh, this is just not fair. It's like to the Cowboys to go through. Nice one.
Yeah. I mean, like, talk to us a little bit more about Xavier Worthy. I mean, this is a guy who can kind of. I'm not going to say he's a jack of all trades, because he's not. He's pretty much a master of multiple trades, because you can use him in your punt or return game. He's done that at Texas. You can use him as a possession receiver. He has that ability. You can use him as a yards after catch guy, because once he catches the ball, he can get away from people. And you can use him as a burner over the top. Like, I think that was evidenced by the touchdown in Tuscaloosa. I think was it him or was it Mitchell that Quinn Ewers threw the ball over the top to? I actually think that was Mitchell. Yeah.
Just like I said, it's clearly a guy. I mean, that can put some big numbers. It's the 3 years that he played in Texas. Averaged first year, he averaged 15.8 yards a catch. 2022, just short of 13, and then 13.5 last year. 12 TDs, 9 and 5. It's just, look at the receptions. UT tight. I know they like to spread the ball around a lot, but UT targeted him the least amount of receptions he had throughout his career at UT. So he's used to having a lot of work. Longest catch, 46, 54, and 75.
Yeah.
Each year. Scores a lot of touchdowns. I said someone's going to get someone, say probably a little bit of jack of all trades in a way. Just like I said, because he can do anything. He's a red zone, right? He can come over the bit. Not afraid to go up and try and catch the ball. He gets DB'd on the back foot. That's what teams want. And like I say, there's all this room, especially like sometimes you see a player like that. Like, yeah, I'm not saying he's a bad player, but like someone like a Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah.
Because he's arguably the best receiver in this draft. And generally, those kind of players go to the teams, obviously, with the worst record.
Yeah.
But someone like a Worthy, that one for UT, but people value him a lot less than the maybe a Marvin Harrison Jr. He's going to go to a team, potentially, if you look at the box, he's going to go to the Chiefs now. This is no disrespect to Kyler. Would you rather have Kyler Murray throw it for you, or would you rather have Patty Mahomes throw it to you? No contest in it. He's potentially going to go straight to a contender, whereas Marvin Harrison Jr., although he's going to fight the league up, it's going to take a couple of years probably for
getting
him in. Like I say, you've seen it a lot with Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts was supposed to be the next best thing with Clyde. Atlanta have had awful the last few years. Has been at tight end. Not going off on a tangent, but gone out and got somebody like Kirk Cousins to help receivers get a lot of balls. So I think you'll see he's starting to rise, and he's not going to have that issue. He's going to come in and he's going to have potentially the best quarterback in in the league for 5 years. So what you want?
Yeah. Like for me, and look, I'm going to pull up DJ Dog's comment here. I mean, does as much as Xavier is a light guy, he's also a guy who has played through injury. In his sophomore season, he played with a broken hand. Look, undoubtedly, us as Texas fans, and I'm pretty sure DJ Dog is a Texas fan as well, his best season for us was his freshman season with Sam Ellinger. And he didn't connect as much with Quinn Ewers last year. Obviously, he was playing with a broken hand. But then this season, he was also playing with A.D. Mitchell on the other side. Jatavian Sanders has come on a huge amount in the last 2 years as well. So with Sam Ellinger in his first year, he was the primary target, whereas he wasn't in his last 2 years because there was other guys there in JT Sanders, and then this season in A.D. Mitchell as well, so.
Yeah, no, I'm saying to say UT spread the ball out a lot last year, he still managed over 1,000 receiving yards, which a lot of college teams. There's only a few college teams that, since I can remember getting.
Yeah.
Like that, spreading the ball out as much as they didn't over 1,000 yards. It's Now, if we were talking maybe a year or two back, if he came to the draft, then maybe the Cowboys. Yeah, I just don't. Like I say, I think someone will. Just for the fact that his tape backs it up, but then like there's a few players that do every year. His combine just absolutely out of the water. Did no way that fall to the latter part of the first round with a 40 time like that. Someone's like, this guy, he's good to get open and with that kind of speed. Like I said, maybe even someone like the Ravens a bit higher up, that wouldn't surprise me. We all know the Bills need somebody. Like I said, personally, I think it all depends on what happens with LSU. I say if he goes in the top 15, top 18, let's say that wouldn't surprise me if someone took worthy over him. Say just somebody's going to love him more than somebody else, and I think that's the like the draft, because it just people get it so wrong so many times in terms of like mocks and because like I say, everybody's board's different. Somebody, not to say there was, somebody might have him as the second best receiver, as their second best receiver. You don't know, do you? That's why it'd be nice sometimes to be a fly on the wall.
Yeah.
What these players ranked at.
So I'm going to ask you the question. Joe sent this in a couple of minutes ago. And look, it's great to see DJ Dog is commenting back in return to Joe. And folks, if anyone is watching on our Twitter, please flip over and follow us on our YouTube channel, because you can chat and interact with us through our YouTube channel. We can't see your comments coming through on Twitter. So it just makes it easier to chat with you, to interact with you, for you to ask us questions. But Joe's question is, if both Brock Bowers and Jackson Powers-Johnson are both there, who would you pick?
See, when you throw devil's advocate, say we went
and I get DJ Dog answered whilst you were chatting there, Jamie. So he picked Jackson Powers-Johnson.
You know, as much as we were our bitching in the morning, I'd probably take Brock Bowers. I just think a lot of stuff that's coming out, it's the medical.
Yeah.
For JPJ for me. Not taking away that he's a good player, because he is. It's the medical. And the recent history the Cowboys have had with injured players, and especially at the position, he's going to get banged around a lot. We need him there for 17 games a season.
Yeah.
I would rather go with someone else at the centre position.
Yeah.
In that scenario, as much as I don't like that scenario, I would take Powers.
Yeah. I mean, Joe and DJ Dog are both saying that they would take Jackson Powers-Johnson and roll the dice. So we both said Brock Bowers, or sorry, I'm saying Brock Bowers as well, because for me, Brock Bowers is higher on your draft board. You do not window dress your draft board. You take the guy who is top of your draft board. It's as simple as that. So for me, it will be Brock Bowers too. But DJ Dog did pose us another question. And I suppose, look, if that's the scenario, say Powers-Johnson and Brock Bowers are both there, would we be opposed to trading back? I don't think either of us are opposed to trading back.
No, not at all. I say, depending on how boards fall, you may well get a call from Buffalo. You may well get a call from the. I won't be opposed to going back to 32. Just depends on what they've done. And I know GM's a bit talking, so I'd also want to know. Because I'm not going to give up the guy at 24 to the team. I know you get this. And then have to maybe go backup plan.
Yeah.
I won't be opposed. I definitely won't trade out the first round, like you say, just for the fact that you get that fifth round option.
Yeah.
They're worth the wait in gold years, aren't they? Gives you a little bit of protection, but it also gives the player extra protection as well.
Yeah.
Whopping deal, here at least at the end of that contract, while we see how it plays out. So yeah, I definitely will be opposed to trading back. I think as well. It depends on who you're looking at.
Yeah.
Are you going to reach just because you know you haven't got that fourth? I don't mean take a third up player. You know what I mean? Like maybe bring your board up so you kind of you're taking that end of the first round and picking you've essentially got 2 rounds second half. So you're working it that way, but it just depends on who's there. And even I know we talked about earlier. I wouldn't be that version of 24.
Yeah.
He's rising up boards, less injuries, and if you look at the stats, his stats, I'm surprised he's not ranked a little bit higher because his stats are just unreal.
Yeah, that's Zach Frazier you're talking about, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So DJ Dog has come back in with a follow-up. Look, we love questions, folks. Like, this is your show. As much as me and Jamie are chatting here, the more questions you ask us, the better it is for us. We want to interact with you, so keep sending those questions in. DJ Dog's thing is, how far back would we trade? To 30 to 32 or early second round? We'd recruit before in that scenario. Personally, I'm not going out of the first round, and I want a third round pick, not a fourth round pick.
Yeah, not trying to halfway, but that's what the Cowboys media guys were kind of looking at. There was one trade scenario I looked at that was off on the block, and it was the Bills and the 2 fourth rounders that the Bills have got.
Yeah,
with the 49ers because the 49ers have the third rounder. So then you got an extra pick in the top 100. Although it's down near the start of the fourth round.
Yeah,
you've essentially got that fourth rounder back that the Cowboys pull up back that's not going to play, which then means you can potentially reach for someone at the pick that you've got in the third or at the bottom in that scenario. And, I mean, you compensate then. So I won't be going out 32. Not just, and I know we joked about earlier about it then being and I think if the Cowboys traded out of the first round, I'd be really annoyed just for the fact that you have a 5-year option.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. Like I said, I think we touched on the scenario last week, depending on how the Cowboys are ranking running backs. If you trade him back to say 32, and depending on how your board falls, that gives you then the option of maybe reaching for Jonathan Brooks from Texas, arguably the best running back in this draft class. I know we're ramping on about UT players, but yeah, obviously he's coming off the injury towards the end of the season. But that 5-year option gives you that chance.
Yeah.
I mean, of essentially not he's not replaced. You gain that year back on that 5-year option. So it helps you, doesn't it, in all aspects. I suppose even right now with other teams with quarterbacks.
Yeah.
It helps you with a quarterback. I know the Cowboys are going to say he plays well in his rookie year. It gives you that extra year to see if he's the guy, and if he is, then you can give him the contract. I know obviously the Cowboys didn't get that with Dak, but I mean, Dak played his way to the contract, regardless of what everybody thinks of him now. He earned that second contract, and that 5th-year option on any of the players now helps you because you don't have to kind of jump the gun a little bit and be like, well, we've got a 4-year deal, we have to give him a contract. You don't know if we really want to give him a big contract.
Yeah.
And it helps, like I say, they're worth the weight in gold. So giving up, some teams will give it up, but I'd be, especially the needs that chucking Cowboys have got, I'd be very opposed and very annoyed if they give up the first round pick.
Yeah.
Because it's just like the Cowboys to trade out and get a crap return for it as well.
Yeah. I mean, personally, if they trade out of the first round on draft night, there is going to be a meltdown of, like, for me, what I've seen this year is an awful lot of people melt down about absolutely everything that the Cowboys do. And you're on, well, hold on a second, guys. You know this is what they're going to do. You know the pattern, and you're still overreacting about what they're doing. I think if they turn around and trade out the first round, the tailspin of negativity is going to be ginormous.
Yeah, and I think just listening to people around the Cowboys world wouldn't surprise me. Just from the kind of comments that they're making, wouldn't surprise me if the Cowboys traded back just for the fact that they're all saying that's the best option the Cowboys have, getting some back. If you trade back in the second, you're not going to get a lot. Especially in the first, and who could potentially be there in the first around the Cowboys pick. You can kind of force a hand a little bit and try and rinse a little bit more out of them. Essentially, teams are at the mercy of obviously everyone. If somebody's coming up, it's because they're desperate for someone.
Yeah.
So why not take advantage of that desperation?
Yeah. Like, I mean, sorry, I'm just looking at Joe's question here. So Joe is asking us, since Chicago has 2 first-round picks, do you think we could trade up with Chicago for their 9th pick? Joe, we wouldn't even get close. Even if we gave up all our picks this year, we wouldn't even get close.
No, I would say if you look at some of the mocks that are going as the Vikings going from 11, or I think what I saw, they're going to have to give up at least their 2 first rounders this year. Likely a first rounder. So that's where you're looking at. You're looking at least 3 first rounders to move from 11 to 4, 7.
Yeah.
God, it's like an absolute horror. I wouldn't be opposed to that kind of trade if the Cowboys were saying they one piece away from being that team. Like I say, like a move like that for the Vikings is perfect because there's essentially a quarterback away from anything pretty good and having a deep run. If the Cowboys were in that similar kind of position, I wouldn't be opposed to giving it next year's first. But we're just not, and I think it's good. It's good a little bit. Giving up that 4th rounder. Like I said, just because, especially with how deep this draft is. You could still get a starter in the 4th round at some.
Yeah.
And you're paying $5 million to a quarterback that he's probably only going to see time in garbage time this year.
Yeah.
That's $5 million. $5 million wasted.
Yeah.
And that's a draft pick of deep class as a whole wasted.
Plus all the money you're paying to Trey Lance this year.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Paying $5 million to sit on the bench, which is absolutely ridiculous. So you're paying you're paying $45 million. That's just, well, when you look at it, you could actually sit and say, well, do you know what? Actually, that's not too bad. That's $10 million. To be fair, he didn't even prove to be a decent backup. I'm not saying he's a bad guy or anything, but it's just he didn't prove to be a good backup in San Francisco. And look, he came in last year and all year long when he comes to Dallas. So it's a waste of money, waste of factory.
So
shows that we're all in.
So another guy, Jamie, that I said I wanted to talk about, if this guy landed 24, and we spoke about him a little bit on Thursday night. I'm not sure if he makes it to 24, but there are some injury concerns about this guy which might push him down. So Laiatu Latu, the defensive end out of UCLA, for me, if he was there at 24, I'm pulling the trigger, and I don't care who else is there. I don't care if Joe Alt is there, if Caleb Williams is there. I'm pulling the trigger, and I'm taking Laiatu Latu right there at 24 if he's available.
No, not even on my board.
Oh,
I mean, in terms of in terms of for the Cowboys, don't get me wrong, the kid's a quality player. It's just it's the injury, but it's more so that the injury forced him to retire at one point.
Yeah.
Now, is that someone that you're willing to spend a first round pick on? Somebody's going to pay a lot of money, and somebody's going to make him a first round pick. I just don't think it's the Cowboys. I don't think they're at 24, but you never know. It's just one of them. It's the injuries. Like I said, the Cowboys have had so many injured players and drafted so many injured players or people with injury history. It just scares the living out of me.
Yeah. I get the point you're making in terms of the injuries, but for me, what I'm looking at is the fact he's played 2 full seasons in a row, 2022, 2023. In 2023, he was, sorry, I'm just looking at it here. He was a Lombardi winner and a Ted Hendricks Award winner. And I think that's pretty much for the best defensive ends in college football. So there is huge pedigree there. He hasn't had anything that's knocked him in the last 2 years. So whatever injuries were there seem to have now been cleared up. If this guy has any concerns, as you say, he will start dropping. You'll see him dropping down the board, and teams will be afraid. They have all the medical information. They'll have evaluated that themselves. So I don't think the medicals are going to be an issue anymore. But I get your concern.
Yeah. Now, if it ticks all the boxes on the medical side of things, and there is no issue, and let's say there's not a chance of it reoccurring, what happened to him, because we all know that injuries can happen. But if it's a small percentage, then I would consider him. But if there's just an element of doubt on that injury report, then is a massive red flags for me personally. But I'm just glad that in that situation, I'm not the guy that has to make that decision, because there's obviously people pay millions and millions of dollars to make that decision. I'm just going to give you 10 pennies because I'm just. But for me, it's if the medicals tick off, then I would find out. But let's see what the medicals bring out and see what we find out about it.
Yeah, like from what I've seen of him across the last 2 seasons, this is a guy he's NFL ready. He can start in the NFL tomorrow. You're not going, as an edge rusher, I'm going to have to bleed him in and give him time. He can start day one. He has a whole package of edge maneuvers, techniques. So it's not just he's going to rely on one thing. It's going to be a power rush or a bull rush. He can get under guys. He can get around guys. He has speed. He has quickness. He has that elite level and ability that very few edge rushers have coming into the NFL. But as you say, the drag is the fact he missed 2 seasons, and it was a neck injury, which were the cause of that.
Yes, and we've just gone through the whole scenario of someone having retired because of neck injuries.
Yeah.
And it's, do you want to go down that same path?
Like, they have shown they will go down that route. So it's something they will, like, again, if Latu gets to them, they'll have done their medical evaluations. They'll know the durability of this guy, because with, as you say, it's Leighton Vander Esch who you're alluding to. They did all their medical and checks before him. Like, they met Leighton Vander Esch several times in the process leading up to the draft. The guys in the building more or less knew it was going to be Leighton Vander Esch who'd be the pick if he was there. So, you know, they had done their due diligence. Again, I would imagine if Latu is an option for them, they'll have done all the due diligence that's needed. It's just a matter, again, as I say, like with Brock Bowers, if he falls to you, you know, and it only takes one team to be in love with a guy to draft him.
It does, but then I'm just going to go back to the whole, he's not alternative, is it? So Cowboys think he's going to fall. The Cowboys clearly don't think he's going to fall, because if I would have thought they would have brought him in because they've been able to give some kind of knowledge of where to this guy before. So I say he's probably at worst for him 20, but he's likely to go higher.
Yeah,
he's probably likely around about 15. Maybe.
Yeah, like, I actually think there is a chance he falls. And I'll try and find out after the show, but I'm pretty sure they spoke to him at the combine. I accept your point, as you say, that he wasn't a 30 visit.
No. Yeah.
But again, it might be something just to watch out for. Again, as you rightly said, look, maybe they don't expect him to fall.
Yeah, like you say, it could be because the dice have to fall. But if he falls, then that's a whole different kind of fish in it. With the Cowboys bit. Because like I say, I'm sure they've got a backup. But like you said, CD Lamb was top 5, top 7 on the board, and he fell all the way down. Say that again. You could say it was like Des Bryant. Only Des Bryant was expected to go higher, and he fell. So yeah, it's not 100% ruling it out, but yeah, don't think it's happened. But like I said, it never just because how much the draft surprised you. Like I say, look at was it? No, you just take Will Levis last year. He could be a top 5 pick, and he fell into the second round. And
yeah,
went quite far, well, not massively far, but he fell in the second round. So look at years before that, Geno Smith, he was expected to be a high draft pick, and he fell. So you just don't know, do you?
Yeah. And I mean, I think the only person who was saying Will Levis was going top 5 last year was Will Levis.
I don't know. If you look at some of the watching a lot of the things, a lot thought he was going to go top 5, mate. But some people had him as the second best quarterback, didn't they? Like I say, that's why the draft's such a good thing, such an unknown.
Yeah.
One person so high. That's why I like it. It's just the massive.
Yeah. So I'm just looking here. So Matt Owen, our Professor O, had a tracker of who the Cowboys interviewed at the combine. Like actually, Latu wasn't on that list either. So I don't think he's on the board. But again, it's just you never know what's going to happen with the draft. So again, it's worth mentioning. You know, maybe that's a player that falls. But you've kind of spoken about someone already, Jamie, in terms of Zach Frazier, who is probably a potential candidate in a trade down scenario that you might take at the end of the first round. I definitely think he'll be there, but he's a guy who's played predominantly as a center his whole college career. It's not a guy who's moved in for a year. It's not a guy. So that you're talking about Jackson Paris Johnson. It's not someone like Graham Barton who can play all 5 positions. Zach Frazier is a designated center. He's a pure out-and-out center. He has experience of snapping the ball. He's a multi-award winner. I think he was in the Remington Award or the equivalent for centers this year. You know, so he has pedigree.
Only allowed 4 sacks in his career at West Virginia as well. A lot of people are high on him. Just to speak on it, like I say, a lot of people, like we've all started falling in love with Barton. A lot of people don't think he's going to be there at 24.
Yeah.
So then you look at obviously where you're going. Say trade back scenarios. I say, well, when I sent you this, when I sent you a dinner time, that was it. I went back to 32.
Yeah.
Depending on where you're looking at, I wouldn't be annoyed if the Cowboys took him at 24. I say just for the fact that he's an out-and-out centre.
Yeah.
He didn't allow a lot of sacks. Like 4 sacks in years he allowed, and All-American. Tough. I say in natural centre position. I think he started 37 games in a row. There's a history there. And like we talked before, like I've said to you before, and that's not a knock on Barn. I know, like you said, as an out-and-out centre, but he's played guard. So it's like, if the Cowboys are going to draft Barn, where are they going to play him? Are they going to move Tyler Smith outside and put guard, and then patch fill in the center?
Yeah.
So I say it would. it's intriguing that he's like I say, he's an out and out centre. I think that's what we do now, out and out centre. Like I say, he's a very trusted. He's very trusted. I mean, like he's, like I say, it just shows that he's got an high IQ.
Yeah.
I think a lot of teams probably sleep on him. When I've no disrespect to West Virginia. Like I say, it's just, especially in the conference they play as well.
Yeah.
I say it might not get looking as high as if he went maybe to a bigger school. But, yeah, I like this guy. Like, he's rapidly rising up my board.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a push at 24? Could say, but it also then it's. I have to say, for instance, would you rather, if you're going to call it a reach, would you rather reach for him, a linebacker or a running back?
Yeah.
Is he going to be there in our second round pick?
No.
I don't think he's going to be there. Then you're not going to. Is anybody any good enough third round? Then you might have to reach actually in the third round because then maybe a Van Pran, but then it's a little bit too rich. I haven't got a fourth, so you're not taking in the fourth. You're gonna have to reach four. Hope that if you don't do a trade back scenario, you've got to pray that he's there in the fifth because then you're really looking then at having that chip somewhere.
Yeah. So one of the other guys we said we were going to talk about is Karan Amgadji. So this is the offensive tackle out of Yale. This guy is flying up people's boards. Obviously, coming out of Yale, the first thing you're going to say about this guy is he's a high IQ guy. Elite arm length. He has a 36 3/4 inch arm length. Like, that is a wingspan approaching 90 inches. That is huge. So this is a guy who, once his arms are out there, you're not getting past this guy. Again, played at Yale. And another guy, huge athleticism, power, and he is just running over guys at the level he's played at. Now, look, let's be honest about it and say he's not playing against guys from the SEC. He's not playing against guys from the Big Ten. So he's faced lower level competition, but the gifts are there. That athletic ability, that raw power that you want from an offensive tackle is there. As I say, this is a guy who's moved up boards. There's a lot of talk this guy might end up in the first round.
See, I'm not gonna lie, I haven't seen a lot of him. So, I am, but I say just from the measurable, from what you said about now. Yeah, is he played at an elite level? No, that's not the score. But if he's got it, he's got it. And regardless if he's playing at the levels where Yale play, or if he's played in the SEC or the Big Ten, the Big 12, anything like that. If he's got it, he's got it.
Yeah.
It sounds like it could be an intriguing prospect for the Cowboys. So I think I personally would have to watch a bit more tape just because I haven't seen a lot of it. So I'm gonna have to. I'm at your mercy here, Brian.
Absolutely. Like, again, like some of the knocks on Karan are that he's overly aggressive. I mean, I don't consider that a knock. I want my offensive tackle and offensive line guys to be big, nasty guys who are not going to take a backward step. I don't want my offensive line picking up the opposing quarterback or picking up the opposing defensive lineman and going, good job patting them on the butt. I want them pushing them to the ground and landing on top of them, hitting them in a nice little dirty blow, dropping an elbow, letting them know I'm here all day and I'm not going anywhere.
See, and as much as we don't want to talk about that lot up the on the side,
yeah,
but there's two on there. We had whinges and whines about them all year, but Lane Johnson and I know Jesse Kelsey's now retired, but they were two players that you could say pushed the edge of playing that naughtiness, nastiness within the rules. That's what you want. You pay you're paying $40 million to a quarterback.
Yeah,
you want your offensive lineman nasty. You want your $40 million quarterback on his feet, being able to make plays.
Yeah,
you don't get that with a soft ass line. So, probably doing somebody nasty there to keep Dak off his backside to push some holes open for whoever's going to be for the Cowboys next year.
Yeah,
I've got no problem. Like I say, if you're going to get flags, get them for not for these crappy ass flags we're getting for. If it's because they're getting flags because they're giving Guy a bit of a rough, and I can take that because your running back staying upright, your quarterback staying upright, which means your receivers can get open.
Yeah, like the best part of his game is in pass protection, right? So he has multiple abilities. He can mirror, he can match guys. He's a good anchor strength. He's not going to be moved once he's in a stance. As I say, the wingspan, it's there. The arm length is there. So someone in the NFL is going to fall in love with that arm length on its own. And they're going to draft him for that specific reason. They're just going to go 36 and 3/4 inch arm length, and they're just going to draft him now.
See, just for kind of all that, what you've been saying about him, like I said, I don't know a massive amount, but like, he's one of the guys. It reminds me of a little bit when you talk about him, a little bit like Travis Frederick. I'm not saying he's going to turn out to be the kind of player, but everybody was like, this guy's a third round pick. Cowboys clearly saw something like that in Travis Frederick and was like, oh, this guy's a first round pick. And he was the best centre by a million miles while he's in the league. And like I say, it takes just someone to overlook the fact that he plays for a smaller school. They don't play the likes of LSU, Bama week in, week out. And to say, do you know what? This guy's going to be a force to reckon with for the years and perfect for what we need.
Yeah.
So then, his name's going to get called. Someone might say, someone's like, but look at it like we all did. To be fair, like I say, with the Travis Frederick, what the heck? People had third round grade. You give it 5 years' time and talk about this guy for the right reasons.
Yeah.
Analysts were going, someone reached for this guy.
Yeah. Joe has just come back into it and he goes, yeah, I agree. You can't teach a player to be nasty. He has to have it in his blood. And that's what Kieran has. He absolutely has it. And that's what we want to see. Jamie, is there anyone else we want to discuss before we head off?
I know you mentioned women, but we can do that for if you want.
Yeah. No, we absolutely can. So before we get out of here, Jamie, I'm going to get you to give the shout out. So just give me 1 second.
Like, if you guys and gals are going to watch the Cowboys next year, make sure you hit up our podcast sponsors and our good friends about Cowboys Experience. We get tickets, state tours, meetings. Is that obviously we've been talking about for weeks and weeks. It's happened. Went out for the 2023 Cowboys trip. These guys, I mean, current and former players, cheerleaders there. There's games on there. There's drinking going on. There's Cowboys fans from around the world there. Honestly, if you want the best experience, because they go over and above for everybody, and Barry's guys are fantastic. And if you make sure you use the promo code of UK Cowboys, because what do you get, Brian, that we all like?
Chocolate pudding. And my one question to you, Jamie, is: Did you notice anything? Did you notice anything other than the cheerleaders when you were there?
Yeah, we honestly we had honestly the best time. If you ask any of the guys that came out with last year, they do competitions out there. Some of the guys, I know John. He got up on the stage for a competition, and it was a dance competition. Honestly, it's such a great day. It's amazing, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm not just saying that. People have gone out there for years. And people like Mike Bull that goes out and down multiple times a year. Paul goes out multiple times a year, and they always go see Barry and the guys, because it makes your trip even more memorable than it's going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. But look, Mike and the guys will be back on Thursday night. Jamie, are you going to be along with them?
It depends if you're going to be on.
I'm not on Thursday nights. I only fill in emergencies on Thursday nights.
We'll see. We'll see what numbers we get going. I don't mind going with the boys. It's just if everybody can.
And Joe, we're going to give you the last word with the show. Dallas forever, Philly for never. It's a good night for me, folks.
Stay safe, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Go Cowboys.